Hello Market Club members everywhere. Adam Hewison here coming to you from the digital studios. Well, it has been one heck of a week to say the least. It is the biggest week we've ever seen on the downside since we've been keeping records here in the US. So what's going on? Is it China? Is it something else? Well, this is something I see is the markets aren't acting well. Forget China. China was actually higher today, but we're down today so far. Now this could change before the end of the day, but the reality is the markets aren't doing well. If we look at the Dow, we're looking at the Dow 30. This is a daily chart, but if we scope this out just a bit further, you can see, we've been talking about this market, this huge top right here. This is really not a good sign. And of course, you've come down. Is it going to find support somewhere along the line? I'm sure we're going to see a bounce, but the reality is we have mixed signals. We have our weekly down right here and our monthly still positive. Now that can change, and that could change, and I'll show you the level it's going to change at. If the Dow goes to 16,013 or below 16,000, it'll turn this green trade triangle right here, which is the trend, it'll turn it into a red trade triangle, indicating the major trend is down at that point. But this is what we're talking about, this huge top. This takes a lot of energy to get through, and I don't think we're going to do it in 2016. We've had a 6-year bull market in equities, and that is usually the duration of any bull market. We've only gone over that once when it went to 7 years, and then it turned down. So I think we're going to look for more of a correction here. Let's move on. This is the Dow Jones. There's one thing I want to show you in the Dow. Let me clean the screen off. I want to go to a weekly chart quickly. There's the weekly. We're below the 50 line in the RSI, not a good sign, but even when we go to the monthly, and this is important, we're just tipped below the 50 line on the RSI on the monthly charts. That's not a good sign. So let's move on to our next market. Okay, we're looking at the S&P 500. Again, this has not been immune to the sell-off in China. You can see the market's action today. It's a daily chart, but rounding out, it's a mixed bag because we still have the monthly up, but that monthly trade triangle return at this point, key level to watch in this market, and that's going to be 1,893. That's the level to watch. If you go below there, we're 1,940 right now, so it's still quite a ways away, but nonetheless, the way these markets are moving, it could happen pretty quickly. So again, the markets anticipate 6 months in advance what's going to happen, so this could be a harbinger of things to come. So let's be very careful of these markets. We're looking at the NASDAQ. Again, this market's not acting or performing well. It's very oversold. It's below the 50 line. It also has a mixed picture on the monthly and the weekly trade triangles, but the key level to watch there, and I'll put that on the screen again for you today, the key level to watch here is going to be this number, and that is 4,552. That's the key level we're looking at, and that's not so far away. It's we're 4,682. We're quite well 130 points, but the way these markets are moving, they could happen just in a matter of days. So be careful, keep your powder dry. I wanted to look at Barrick Gold. This is something that really is beginning to turn. We are on the monthly charts again, and you can see what I want to share with you right here is put a close only chart, and let me do that right now. You click right here, close only, and I'm going to go to weeklies, get a little more data, and I'm going to draw a trend line from the highs here, stretch it all the way down here. Remember, all the points are touching. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points are touching. And you see, if we get closer in on this, you can see that Barrick Gold has just broken a 4-year trend line on the upside, and it's just gone over the 50 line. The signal there was 833. In fact, if I put the daily chart on, you'll see quite clearly where that came in. And you can see it kicked in just yesterday when we had a sharp up move in Barrick Gold. If you scope this out even further, let's say you have a 1 year chart, you can see this market has formed a really, really big base going all the way back to August of last year. You can see this base right here, and you can see how we just broke out over the top of it. Barrick Gold to me is going to go higher. Potentially we could go certainly to the 13 level, doubling or getting at least a 30% return from where we are right now. But again, the trend has just begun. This is the first buy signal we've had in a long, long time in this market. So that's something to look at. Also looking at the ETF and GLD, which is the largest, obviously, ETF for gold. This is where a lot of people get in markets, get in the gold through the GLD. That is a green weekly and a green daily, and we've made the turn here. I think we're going to see this market pop up to a little bit higher than we are right now, and I'll show you where that's going to be. So let's scope this in a little bit closer to, let's say, a 6-month chart, and we can put in our Fibonacci, and you can see we can go up to maybe the 108, 109 level, in my opinion, which is not a huge move, but it's certainly a safer move right now, I think, than stocks. This is Amazon. Amazon is obviously a juggernaut in this market, and you can see just a few days ago where it made a high of $696. We thought the market would get to $700. It didn't quite get there, and now we're practically, yesterday we went to $605, $100 lower in just a matter of days, and that's quite shocking. Amazon's below the 50 line. We've got a red weekly indicating you should be on the sidelines. It may be a while for this market to regroup. We still like Amazon longer term. We think they're doing a lot of things right, but again, it's perception wins out in the marketplace. This is Under Armour. You can see how it's really had a nice move up and then just sputtered out, kind of like the Dow. You can see it just sort of petered out, rounded out. All of our signals are negative, indicating this stock should go lower. Here's Starbucks, one of my favorite markets, favorite coffees too, but you can see that is a sideline position. We want to give this market some more time. If Starbucks goes under 55.89, I'll write that on the screen for you. That'll turn our green monthly trade triangle negative, indicating the trend is clearly down in this market. We are below the 50 line and the RSI, indicating a weakness in the market, but also we're in a trading range because we have a conflict between the monthly and the weekly. Here's Netflix. Netflix announced a big expansion in its business, really didn't do anything, and that's partly because of the scope this in even further. You can see the announcement came here, boom, big outside day. It's a bullish candlestick formation, but it wasn't confirmed the next day as the market closed lower. We are below the 50 line, not a good sign, and I think the sentiment probably, even though they expanded their business, is still saying on the sidelines, stay on the sidelines in this market for now. This is Facebook, again on the sidelines, weekly down, monthly up, not a good sign. I would say be careful with all of these markets right now because things can get really panicky in a hurry, as we saw with China and with our markets. We're not immune to the world now. This is Apple. We've been bearish on Apple. You can see that from 107, we've had these signals that kicked in, and there's the monthly right there. At 107, we had a weekly quite a bit higher, which was 112. So again, this market looks like it can go down to 70. We may be some rallies, but nonetheless, it looks as though it wants to go lower. So that's it for today. The last, be careful, keep your powder dry. We have all year to make money. We don't have to make it in the first week of January. So look at the market we talked about, look at the trends, and look at the trade triangles. They do really work. I'm Adam Hewison from Market Club. Thank you so much for stopping to watch this video today. Have a great weekend, and I'll be back on Monday.